Based on Christian Wallace's Boomtown podcast, Landman's ensemble has seasoned actors like John Hamm Lur and Billy Bob Thornton, all of whom have given captivating performances in the series that explore the intricate world of the oil industry. Similar to Taylor Sheridan's other well-known programs, Landman explores themes of family and the American dream while dramatizing a real-world enterprise. The Season 1 finale has a lot to cover given those conceptual concepts and the events of Landman episode 99's conclusion. In the previous episode, Tom was given a more significant role in his own oil company Mutex after John Hamm's character Monty Miller appeared to die from his chronic heart problems. Tommy was threatened by the Cardinal, who implied that they were constantly keeping an eye on him. Last but not least, the quiet scene at the close of episode 9 has significant philosophical ramifications and includes an appearance from Jerry Jones, implying the main idea of Taylor Sheridan's most recent show. Tommy Norris finds out at the start of The Crumbs of Hope that Monty Miller has appointed him president of Mutex Oil to lead the business in his absence or incapacity. For the benefit of Cammy and their 2 kids, the Landman is asked to run the business until it is sold. In addition, Tommy is designated as Monty's posthumous executive to assist the businessman's wife with money difficulties. A doctor tells Cammy that her husband needs a heart transplant after suffering a ruptured aortic aneurysm, while the protagonist comes to terms with his new duty. Monty will be and have life-sustaining medical equipment attached until he gets a new heart. Tommy's first task as the new leader of the oil company is to complete the farm out, which is valued at over $160 million and has been approved by his employer. The project is quite dangerous and might put the Millers out of business. The best-case scenario, which involves earning over $1 billion after proceeding with the project, is explained to Cy by the Landman. After giving it some thought, she chooses to approve the farm out and play one final round of poker. Tommy contacts Rebecca Fallon to renegotiate the farm-out agreement after she makes up her mind. Despite his dislike for Rebecca, Tommy is reluctant to fire her now that she's gained the respect of his employer Monty. As an ethical lawyer, Nathan lacks the negotiation abilities that the Landman acknowledges. The main character gives his longtime coworker a call and explains his decision to temporarily select her. Tommy instructs Dale and Nathan to explain what a farm out is to Rebecca so that she can negotiate a better price with less financial risks. The Miller family's financial situation will be severely impacted if the Landman spends more than $160 million on 9 oil wells and receives nothing in return. Following Tommy's instructions to Rebecca, James and his gang pursue him and kidnap the Landman as a form of discipline, unaware that the patch has an alarm system built in that would keep the police at the crime scene for a long time. The drug dealer blows up several oil wells to demonstrate his dominance over his rival, which has a big impact on the drug cartel. G-Menz binds Tommy up and severely injures him after he realizes his mistake, but before the drug dealer can murder the Landman, a shadowy figure arrives with a gang of men and murders the former and his gang without leaving a single person alive. It turns out that the individual is Galino, Jim's supervisor, and a well-known head of the global narcotics ring. Because he understands that killing the Landman will draw needless attention to the oil patch is a crucial area for his narcotics operations, he saves Tommy. Jim would have sent a negative message to other oil corporations if he had executed the crisis boss. By depending on authorities, they might have taken precautions to avoid a repeat failure which would harm Galino's narcotics trade. The cartel will not benefit from these companies' easy invitation to camp on the patches by the Drug Enforcement Administration DA, as some of them have previous presidents on their boards. Because he used their disagreement as a personal one, Jim's makes an attempt to murder Tommy. Galino, on the other hand, views it as a straightforward business matter. He ignores his pride and focuses solely on the figures because he is a businessman. He might have realized quickly that the best course of action for him to safeguard his interests is to work with energy firms rather than threaten or enrage them. Galino extends an olive branch to Tom for this reason. By saving the Landman, he is expressing his desire for them to have a shared sense of extraordinary benevolence for their own benefit. Tommy has the incentive to agree to the Cardinal leader's offer of peace and cooperation because the oil firms stand to benefit nothing from good explosions. It's interesting to note that Gallo's influence on Tommy might extend beyond their conversation about cooperation. The Landman's potential interest in becoming an oil billionaire is revealed when the Cardinal leader suggests that they have a conversation about oil wells. He can guarantee that the aforementioned collaboration will prevail across the Perrin Basin if he accomplishes that, particularly with the backing of a major player in the sector like Mutex Oil. It's possible that Galino understood that he would have a place at the table to make proposals that would safeguard his interests as the head of the cartel if he were one of the oil tycoons. As The Crumbs of Hope concludes, Monty Miller is shown lying on a bed with Cammy and their 2 children crying their hearts out. Viewers may be perplexed or alarmed by the sudden dramatic moment, particularly after she remains composed during her husband's surgery regarding the businessman's destiny. What actually happened to Monty is made more mysterious by the scene's out-of-focus monitors. Nevertheless, we think he is still alive. The family gathering after the oil billionaire is moved to a room following surgery may be the cause of the emotionally heated event. If Monty is truly dead, medical professionals must have already hurried to the room to treat him because he is a well-known client. Rather, the video depicts hospital employees strolling past the room without even looking inside to see what's going on. Since the physicians may have taken Monty's pipes out so his family could spend some final time with him, the scene cannot reflect the aftermath of their visit. Given these circumstances, the businessman seems to be alive and waiting for a final battle against death. Once Cooper and Ariana begin sharing intimacy on a regular basis, their connection gets stronger. To value their time together, they'd accept their uncertainties and doubts, but as she begins packing her late husband Elio's possessions, their happiness is impacted. She is transported back in time by the items that have been a part of their married lives. Her inability to let go of the roughneck and embrace Cooper as his man is impacted by her indulging in her recollections of him. Their relationship is in jeopardy, and this difficulty makes her doubt herself even more. Cooper handles the issue as best he can despite Ariana's reservations. He joins her in mourning Elvio as a buddy instead of requesting or expecting her to move on from him. As much as she wants to recall her late spouse, he gives her his shoulder to rest on. Ariana has plenty of time and space to deal with her loss because in his opinion there is no need to rush matters pertaining to their relationship. She is persuaded that choosing to be with Cooper is the right choice because of his maturity. She trusts him even more since he is at ease with her past and sadness. Despite replacing his deceased colleague in Ariana's life, Cooper makes no attempt to remove Elio from her. She doesn't have to conceal her memories from him because he welcomes the presence of her late husband. As a result, Ariana does not have to deal with her loss alone, which could have caused her and Cooper to feel distant from one another. Their friendship is stronger than ever since they are working together to achieve their goal. Taking their relationships to the next level is not unique to Cooper and Ariana. After giving it some thought, Ryder chooses to become an erotic dancer in order to win over some women and support his girlfriend Ansley. By doing something he does not want to do in order to please his girlfriend, he demonstrates to her that he is a keeper. She shows him a good time in return for his bravery or sacrifice. They lay together after she cherishes the experience she promised him, which deeply affects her on an emotional level. Ansley has had a number of brief informal partnerships and flings. She never had a serious relationship, though it remains in her life. Ryder is slowly turning into that individual. He has shown how much he values Ansley by putting her interests ahead of his own ever since they first met. Without the expected retribution from a young man, he has put up with Tommy's ridiculous regulations and threats. He may be able to date any lady he wants, but in order to please Ansley he even turns into an exotic dancer, which is a clue that he is committed to her. Their relationship is now genuine rather than fleeting and casual as a result of this discovery. Ryder shows her that he is willing to put up with anything for her when he decides to stay the night with her, despite knowing that Tommy will probably beat the living daylights out of him. As a result, we might not have to anticipate that Ryder and Ansley will slow down anytime soon. They may be together for some time to come because of how solid and robust their connection is. At the conclusion of the first season of Landman, Tommy discovers a coyote in his front yard. In the 9th episode, the Landman's neighbor killed another animal whose carcass the animal comes across. Tommy becomes alarmed upon seeing the coyote and even goes so far as to warn it to flee, as the area they share is not suitable for its survival. He probably says this because he identifies with the coyote. The Landman has long cherished his independence and roamed the state like the beast. But he has always had problems because of his independence. When Tommy attempts to deal with the situation on his own, Jim's almost kills him. He has learned throughout the years that life is a game with many rules from every opponent and adverse circumstance. It's possible that the Landman understood that he could only live, that is, stay alive, if he played the game according to the same rules. His hands are more tied than ever now that he is Texoil's president. Instead of a sense of independence, his freedom is rewarded with restrictions and near-death experiences. The Count is likewise subject to these insights. Although we consider animals to be free, their freedom is contingent upon their compliance with human established norms. They are brutally murdered as soon as they exercise their independence in a woman's gun-wielding front yard. In a sense, Tommy's lack of freedom is similar to that of the coyote. Because of his experience, he advises the animal to flee before it is killed, a fate that the Landman still fears.